Alright guys, how's it going? Today we will be doing a demo of my Milky Way Tumbler and giving you a bird's eye view of the entire thing. So, starting off, as you can see, I have my primed, prepped cup ready to go. This is a 20-ounce YETI. It's gonna start out looking just like this. What I do is I take off all the stickers and I toss that aside. Then I give it a good scrubbing, ripping at it with about 120 grit sandpaper. You wanna keep scrubbing it away, sanding it down till you start smelling metal. Once you start smelling metal, you are breaking through that waxy, shiny coat that sort of protects your YETI from getting all scratched up and stuff. And it wears over time, but we want to make sure that we get down to the bare bones of it. So that's what I did here, right there. Once I finished that, I threw it in the spray booth and I spray painted it an off-white, stuck it on my turner, and we are ready to go. So first things first, I like to put a base of mica with my prepped epoxy. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix about, let's see, I'll mix about 10 milliliters. Okay, so I already have my rose gold measured out. I got my epoxy over here, both parts are measured in there, and we are just going to start turning it. This is also what they call the epoxy method on how to apply your glitter. I know some of y'all are probably starting out, or some of y'all really like Mod Podge. Whatever works for you. I like to use straight up epoxy because I like to take my time, and Mod Podge dries too quickly. So rather than racing, I just use epoxy. And I can take my sweet little time. Make sure your epoxy is churned and mixed and vibing. I'm not gonna worry too much about the bubbles because I can hit it with my torch afterwards. I don't really baby my epoxy all that much. I don't really worry about it. Next, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour it in to my rose gold mica. And I'm gonna turn it some more. That's my rose gold. I love this shade so much. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Y'all see that? All right, I think I mixed enough. Now my epoxy is starting to warm up, which means it's starting to activate. It's gonna start thickening up. Now is the time to apply. And all I'm doing is I'm just evenly coating my epoxy on this cup. I'm not gonna push down too hard. I'm not gonna worry about the streaks. All I'm gonna do is just coat my cup evenly. We're gonna go back and we're gonna hit it with some heat and it'll all level itself out. And if you're working on a YETI and you got these little letters, guys, right here, go ahead and try to make sure that you go back and forth, side to side, because your finger might miss it. And you might end up with no epoxy on one side of the letters. Okay, I hit the bottom. Alrighty then. Same thing on the bottom. Want to make sure that you are rubbing, because there's a YETI stamp on the bottom of that. Make sure that you're covering every little crevice in that YETI stamp. Okay, I'm just gonna save my leftovers. I might make a charm with it. With my leftover epoxy, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop my leftover into a mold. And I'll have a little rose gold mold. Epoxy is expensive, so I don't like to waste a bit of it. Not even a little bit. I will find some use one way or another. I'm gonna let this guy spin, do its thing, and then I'm gonna hit it with a torch. Notice I'm not letting my torch sit in one spot because you will burn your epoxy and it'll start to ooze off the sides. You just want to get it nice and warmed up so that way it just spreads evenly. And you pop those bubbles along the way. Okay? Alrighty, now for the fun part. Let's start putting our glitter on. Usually what I do is I'll take a medicine cup and I'll pour my glitter into the medicine cup to have a little bit more control of how I want to lay my glitter. So I'll just go ahead and just take, and I have no idea what color this is, guys, because 99.9% of the time I do not put straight from the shaker or straight from the bag from the vendor. I usually put a little bit here, put a little bit there, and then I kind of just mix it around to see what different colors I get, okay? So start off with just a little bit, just like that, okay? Let's see if I can show you what color it is. Little happy iridescent pink. All right, and I'm gonna go probably, I'm gonna swirl it different ways so I don't have, like I said, no rhyme, no reason. I'm just gonna hit it. See what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay. And I'm just gonna wait for the cup to just drop the excess glitter and come back around. I'm not gonna freak out and try to hurry up and run after my cup or anything. All right, that seems good. And this is usually how I end up with a lot of different mixed glitters because I don't really waste the glitter. I just kind of just throw it all back in a different container, and I usually end up with a totally different colored glitter than what I began with. So there you have it. When you ask what color that was and I tell you I don't know, I'm like, I honest to God couldn't tell you. Try my best. I could try my best, but who knows? Who knows what it was? All right, this for sure is a pure, this for sure is a pure pink ice from the Glitter Gallery. And I'm just gonna throw it wherever it wants to land. I really have no rhyme or reason. Oops, I'm gone in my mold. That's okay. That's okay. We roll with it here. There are no mistakes in my studio. All right. I think I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm not gonna make it swish out too much. Put it back in there. Let's grab our next color. All right, this one is gonna be, this is a pure Pandora. This is the holy grail of PDB, okay? If you see this in stock, you better run and get it. This is one of those fan favorites because it has lots of stars, it's got a lot of twinkles, it's got a lot of tinsels, it's got a lot of good, all that good goods in there. So definitely worth stocking up on. All right, so I'm gonna put it on the right side of my pink ice because I want my silver to play off of it. And I'm just gonna start throwing it on there. I don't like wasting pink eye, or not pink eyes. I love pink eyes. I don't like wasting Pandora because Pandora is like once it runs out and you're out of it and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go get some more Pandora. Like, you better make sure you got it. Better make sure once you start hitting the bottom of your shaker that you got some backup Pandora because you might be out for months. No one ever knows. Make sure none are sticking up on the brim, because that's where you get those stubborn little shards that like to stick up and shank you when you take them off the turner. Okay, moving right along. So I see how it's like wanting to fan out. Probably the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit it with another silver-based glitter. So let's go ahead and pick one up. Now this one that I'm grabbing, I have no idea where it came from. No idea. I know I got it from a vendor, but it was one of those that I just never got around to making a label for, and it just got lost in the shuffle. It's a very sparkly one. Lots of silvers. Lots and lots and lots of silvers. But I know I wanted like a, what you call it? A rosy gold base. So that's what I went with. My next one that I'm gonna be doing is gonna be a mint based, so I will bring y'all along for that one as well. All right. Now here's what I'm gonna do. Because we're towards the end of our glittering phase, I'm gonna take my glitter and I'm gonna throw it on the bottom of this cup. And wherever it wants to land, it's gonna land. Just like that. I ain't even gonna stress about it. Okay? Aight. That's one thing you'll learn about me watching my videos is that I'm very spontaneous. I have no plans when I start working. Very little plans. I mean, obviously if the customer wants something, I'm gonna meet every one of those, or at least try to, requests, but most of the time they're just like, hey, can you just make me something cool? Sure. Okay, here we go. And last but not least, I'm gonna be using, what is this? Penelope from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is a pure one right here. I think I got a bunch of it one time, or I don't know what happened, but may have fallen in love with it. And I was like, I gotta have it, who knows? Who knows, but we're gonna throw it on here, all right? I'm just gonna go ahead and cover the entire thing, the entire space. You know what, I'm gonna feather this out a little bit that way. So I think I'm done with this one. Now all I got to do is just throw it on up there. And the Milky Way tumbler that I like to make, it doesn't have any patterns. It doesn't have any, it's just free form. So if you see a bald spot and you're like, oh, I gotta put some glitter on that, just throw some glitter on there. If it cures and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed a spot, throw some epoxy with pigment on there. And let's see, right here. I'm gonna put, I think I'm gonna throw some more of this guy on there. I think I'm covered. I got my rose gold base with all my different glitters and colors and shimmers and shines and cuts. I got some stars in there, I got some squares in there, I got some tinsel in there. So it doesn't really have a pattern here. It's just vibing all together. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and run my finger along the top of that just to make sure none of my glitter, guys, are sticking up, because once they're on there, you gotta shave them off with a blade. And I ain't about that life because I have shanked myself before. So, Mama learned her lesson. All right, pat it down, because once this has dried, we're gonna come back and we're gonna put our first layer of epoxy on top of it. And so it just helps if you were to pat it down just a little bit. You don't have to run your finger, just give it a nice little tap tap. Because once that epoxy dries and you have a glitter shard flake sticking straight up, you will slash your finger, okay? And it's not fun. All right. Okay, let me put this back in. What's left to do is part 2. Go ahead and let your glitter and your epoxy cure together. The benefits of using the epoxy method is so that your glitter lays down when you are applying that glitter on there. It's not gonna stick up, it's not gonna flake off, and the epoxy will stay sticky and tacky for a lot longer for you to take your time, so that way you don't have to rush against the drying of Mod Podge. And Loctite, I just never really liked Loctite. It just never really locked tight for me. And never really grabbed onto that really good glitter. So once you're done glittering, let him be, let him turn. Don't mess with him. Come back in about 4 or 5 hours. It should be ready for you to go ahead and put on that first layer of your epoxy, okay? After that, we'll get into the fun stuff and we'll be using our micas, our dyes, and our acrylics. All right, thanks so much for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will be seeing you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you can find out what happens to this guy, okay? Bye.